Well, a local high school student is using his voice for change. He started a new podcast to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. And he's already had some very influential guests. I sat down with him to see what started his mission. Law enforcement agencies are always looking to build trust in communities they serve. Look no further than a recent Quinnipiac poll. 62% said they trust police to do the right thing, but 36% said they only trust police some of the time or hardly ever. Those numbers did not surprise high school senior Jasur Talipov.
I'm actually not surprised, and it is very unfortunate. What I hope to accomplish is to build that trust, and throughout many of my interviews, I realized that communication is the key factor in building that trust.
The Trinity Prep student was volunteering at the Altamont Police Department when he noticed that many people seem to go out of their way to avoid the police department in the Altamont Mall. He made it his mission to change that.
As a legislator, how do you plan to work with law enforcement agencies?
He started a podcast called Trust the Badge in March of last year, a nonprofit designed to build trust between law enforcement and the community. He's already had on a U.S. congressman, a Secret Service agent, Sheriff Dennis Lima, and a Pennsylvania state trooper.
My entire goal with Trust the Badge is to show that not every officer is the same. And of course, there are bad officers out there. I'm not saying that there's not. But what I am saying is that there are more good officers than bad, and they should be the ones that should be representing the majority.
Jasur's podcast eventually caught the attention of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who he met recently in Orlando. But his goal isn't to focus on politics. He prides the podcast on being nonpartisan.
What legislative measures do you support or propose to enhance transparency and accountability within law enforcement agencies, if there are any?
After talking to people from all different walks of life, he realized one single event can shape a view on law enforcement.
When I talk to people about law enforcement, I just find it surprising that they look at one specific incident and believe that nationally all law enforcement is the same. That's not really the case.
While he has heard from some critics, he has had nothing but support from law enforcement, who say his voice, especially among young adults, is critical.
When I was a real police officer, everybody loved us.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't deal with what the law enforcement's dealing with today. And to have a young man who's probably speaking something that the rest of his age group aren't hearing, it's fantastic. To have somebody who's actually engaged in making that difference and making people remember law enforcement is here to help you, and we need to support them.
Jasur is very driven. His next guest is going to be Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima on the podcast, and he'll also be a guest this Saturday on Orlando Matters. That airs at 8:30 this weekend. You can see the full interview with him, but good for him getting involved for sure.
Yeah, great young man. Great story, Ryan.